Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today. I got a comment from a viewer who stated that he did not understand why I made the two videos about the late Tupac Shakur, showing us how your Tupac Shakur was a simp and a beta male. Now, according to this viewer, these videos were not educational or informative at all. Now, I did those videos about the late Tupac Shakur so that I could educate many of these young brothers and sisters out there on how your thug life and thug culture were social constructs of whites who control the entertainment industry. Because the late Tupac Shakur was not a thug at all. No, these white people who control the entertainment industry turned your Tupac Shakur into a thug, and then they created the whole social construct of thug life. And the reason why they did this was because they wanted to sabotage young black boys and young black girls at an early age, and they wanted to keep them from being able to go out here and do things like finish high school or go to college or go to trade school and go out here and have a life. Now, your white supremacists who run the entertainment industry, they don't like black people, and they use the entertainment industry as a weapon to be able to undermine the progress of black Americans, especially foundational black Americans. And part of what they do is they go out here and create images and media knowing that your black children don't know what's being presented to them is negative. So they go out here believing that this is just entertainment, but this entertainment is designed to socially engineer an idea into your mind and make you believe that that idea is real. And the whole concept of thug life and everything revolving around the late Tupac Shakur was designed to socially engineer the idea into young black children's minds that black people are thugs, black people are gangsters, and that this is a life that is ideal for young black boys and young black girls to aspire to. So what we have here with Tupac Shakur was we had a guy who was the son of an alleged Black Panther and was raised in a single mother household with a crack addicted single mother. And this square kid who went to a school of the performing arts with Jada Pinkett, he was basically a square guy who was out here looking to become a performer, but most people thought that he was this thug, but he was never a thug from day one. No, what happened to him was he became a property of Hollywood and the entertainment industry. And once he became a property of Hollywood in the entertainment industry by signing contracts with them, they decided to recreate his image into the Tupac that we knew. So this started first with the movie Juice, where he played Bishop, and then later on it moved on when he started working with people at places like Death Row Records and Suge Knight, and they crafted this image in Hollywood of this Tupac who was this thug, this Tupac who was a gangster, and this was a larger-than-life character who was supposed to be this bad boy. And basically what they wanted to do was create this kind of James Dean / Elvis type character that the girls would fall in love with and your boys would aspire to be like. And as they were creating this character, they started to craft a mythology around this character. And most black people, they don't know about how Hollywood crafts these kinds of stories and narratives and images by using people like publicists who submit press releases, how they choreograph and stage events to create news stories, and they don't know how many of these tabloids will go out here and report on these stories. And as people take these stories start to mushroom and start to snowball, and they start to take a life of their own. And as you're buying into this mythology, you're believing that everything revolving around this guy is real, but none of it is real at all. It is the crafting of Madison Avenue advertisers and Hollywood movie studios. They are giving you a story, and they give you this story because they want you to go out here and follow in the footsteps of said individual, because you're not understanding how the lines are being blurred between the fantasy of Hollywood and the reality of what is actually going on. When you hear these stories and hear this type of media, you think that everything that is reported is real in things like magazines such as The Source, or entertainment magazines like Entertainment Weekly, or even shows like Entertainment Tonight. You think all of that is real, but none of it is real. It is all made up, and it is all exaggerated so that you will sit there and believe that everything about this guy that you were told was true, but none of it was true at all. It was just an exaggeration made to push a narrative in the mainstream, and that's what they were doing with Tupac Shakur, was pushing this narrative that black men were thugs, and that being a thug was an ideal for black men. So that was the point that I was trying to make with the Tupac videos, because I see so many young brothers out here who aspire to be thugs, even almost 25 years after the death of Tupac Shakur, because like your James Dean and like your Elvis, who were bad boys of the 50s, your Tupac's mythology has taken on a similar type lore, and you have young boys who, because they don't have a father or a man in their life to explain how Hollywood works, like I am, because I have studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years. So I can tell you that they make up these images and they make up these stories, and then young kids buying into this kind of narrative start to believe these things are real. And even your Tupac started to believe the stories about him were real, and he found out the hard way that when you deal with real life gangbangers and real life thugs, they don't really play the games like they do on a Hollywood stage. On a Hollywood stage, you can come back from a stunt, but in real life, you don't get to come back from a stunt that you pull on guys who are really about that life. So when I look at a lot of guys out here who are getting upset, they don't really understand what's going on, and they don't understand who the puppet masters are. So you want to get upset at a black man, but don't want to look at the white men who craft these kinds of images that run detrimental to you, because these images of guys like Tupac Shakur, what they do is they make it harder for every young brother out here who is looking to get his life started or looking to get his life in order. They make it hard for every brother who's trying to go out here and try to do things like get a job, or trying to go out here and start a business, or even just walk up and down a street, because people believe that you are a stereotype created by a white man, but that is not who you are as a black man. Because as somebody who grew up with the rap game back in the 80s, I know what a difference is between images we create and images white people create. And an image that a white person creates is always talking about thugs and talking about crime. But when rap started out in the late 70s and in the 80s, you had people talking about black empowerment, talking about black love, and you had rappers who were about being masters of wordplay and lyricism, and it was all about the art form of rap. But when your whites took hold of your rap game in '89, starting with NWA's Straight Outta Compton, we went back to the old stereotypes of gangsters and thugs, and which were basically repackagings of the black brute from the Jim Crow period. And what they wanted to do was create this ultimate character, this ultimate mythology around the late Tupac Shakur, making this ultimate bad boy, this ultimate ideal. And again, this was all about creating an idea that would be socially engineered and sold from one generation to the next. And you have people who are caught up in their feelings, not understanding that you can't get mad at a black man who's trying to tell you about the white men who are controlling the media and controlling the narrative as related to that media. That's what I was trying to do with the Tupac videos, because I see so many young men go out here and want to adopt the thug persona, and they want to talk about how street they are. But if you're not from those streets, you should not be pretending to be a thug, because people who are from those streets are no joke. And those type of people, they will call you out just like they did Tupac, and it will end very badly, because if you're not about that life, you don't really need to be out here engaging with these kinds of people, because again, these people don't play, and you can wind up again in a body bag because you don't know what's going on. And that's why I won't go out here and educate these young brothers with videos like this, which are designed to inform them of the dangers that are out here of being this type of simp. Because a lot of simps out here, they want to get the attention of women the way Tupac wanted to do. So they go out here and change their persona and change their look to be this bad boy image, and they wind up in a whole hot mess like Tupac wound up in. And again, that's what I was trying to teach with those videos, because I don't want to see another young brother wind up getting locked up and jacked up inside of a penitentiary where he has to deal with Bubba and Tiny, and have to deal with being traded for ramen noodles and Little Debbie snack cakes. And I don't want to see a young brother wind up dead. Nor do I want to see young sisters going out here and buying into all of this thug and gangster rhetoric, thinking that this guy is some sort of bad boy, because these so-called bad boys are nothing but beta males, and many of these guys, whenever pressure is put on them, their tough guy facade crumbles and the coward comes out of them. So they're not good leaders, and they're not good for being heads of household. And that's how we wind up with households with baby daddies and single mother households, because women buy into this image of this bad boy or this thug, and they don't understand that everything about it is fake, everything about it is made up. And what they're doing is they're being manipulated by white puppet masters who use entertainment to socially engineer ideas into your mind and make you believe that this is black life, when none of this is related to black life at all, and none of this has anything to do with black people. No, guys like Tupac are creations of white entertainment heads, and nobody wants to call out those white executives who create these kind of characters or create these kind of stories that fashion negative images as related to the black experience. So to the viewer who thought, that I was not presenting anything educational or informative because they were in their feelings about Tupac, these videos, again, are designed for those young brothers and sisters out here. And a lot of young brothers and young sisters out here got some information that was able to help them learn more about this entertainment industry and how this entertainment industry uses and exploits black people. Because black people, we go out here and we spend money on this media, but we never really think critically about the messages that are presented in that media, or how negative those messages in that media are, and how those messages in that media affect us overall. I mean, we don't understand why people like Bill Cosby talk about things in the pound cake speech. Well, those things are partially due to a lot of the media we sat there and imbibed, talking about thugs and gangsters, and that media was meant to undermine his great work as related to getting brothers and sisters on their way to getting an education or building businesses. And we don't have any, the whole thing is we buy into it thinking that this is real, but that's the reality that the white supremacist wants us to follow, so that they can go out here and exploit us by putting black men in prison and then having black women be slaves of the welfare state. So a lot of people sit there and think, oh, that this was not a helpful video, but it was meant to help you understand this entertainment industry. And entertainment industry, again, I've been studying for over 25 years, and I have written about in books like All About Maryland, where I talk about how many in this entertainment industry just see you as property. They don't see you as a person. And if they can't use you to make money or push narratives, what they do is push you out the door, and either you wind up washed up and struggling, or you wind up like Tupac in a body bag, because once they have finished using you, eventually they're going, as Professor Black Truth says, eventually break their toys. And that's what they do once they finish using an entertainer. And that's why Malcolm X said not to trust entertainers, because while you're feeling about what they're saying, they are keep taking you off the road to black empowerment. They are taking you off a road of moving forward, and they are sitting there getting rich, very rich at your expense, because they keep you from competing, and they keep you from going out here and focusing on real goals that can take you to another level. And that's why I made that whole video about Tupac, because I don't want to see people getting caught up in this guy, in these mythology created around this man, because that mythology has destroyed so many lives and taken so many brothers and sisters to prison, because they wanted to be thugs and gangsters. But a thug and a gangster is not a real lifestyle that anybody should aspire to. No, a thug and a gangster is a social construct created by the mainstream media, and it is made to try to undermine the progress of foundational black Americans, and take us from a road to excellence to a road where we are either in the grave or we are in the jailhouse. And we can do better than follow in the footsteps of an entertainer. We need to be going out here working to create our own entertainment industry, and create our own entertainment industry that features images that inspire our brothers and sisters, and uplift our brothers and sisters, and tell stories that show us as people that are rich, complex, and multidimensional. Because to say that all we are is thug life, that is something that the racist does, because he wants to go out here and put us in a box that's acceptable to him. And I talk about that in my novel Spellbound, and that is meant to keep us from seeing that there's a rich and diverse world of black people, something I try to do in my literature on the SJS Direct imprint, like books like the Spinsterella Trilogy and many of my fantasy books. They don't want you to see any of the black people from those worlds. They want you to see the black people that are acceptable to white people. And while you're sitting there listening to Tupac, buying into stereotypes, you're missing out on the entire world of black people, and missing out on an opportunity to make a choice of where you want to be in that world. And you miss out on the opportunity to be the person that you want to be. So that's another reason why I talked about why Tupac was a square dude and a simp, because you need to understand that there's more to it. And when you start to find yourself in a larger and broader world, you can then choose the person you want to be, and then you can start thinking about your own identity and not try to fit into a box of something like a thug or a gangster, a social construct created by whites. No, you can define yourself like the old school rappers did back in the 80s and become the person you want to be. Now, I hope this explains why I made those videos regarding Tupac, and I'm hoping that people understand that there's a lot more to this than meets the eye, and that there's a lot more going on as related to these entertainers and the entertainment industry, because once you start to see the bigger picture as related to the programming, then you can start to think critically about it and learn how to deal with these kind of images and see how so many of them are detrimental to the development of black people and black people achieving black empowerment. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my positive fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spencerella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online booksellers everywhere today.